Hey guys, Dantics here. This is Fatekeeper. It feels like Skyrim 2 with the physics-based combat and more linear level structure of Dark Messiah, if any of you remember that game. And man, is it just as fun. I don't think dismembering enemies or punting them off cliffs or into spikes will ever get old. So Fatekeeper is being developed by THQ Nordic by a low 13 developers, which means you know there'll be a lot of love put in. You can play it right now, but you have to pre-order to get the early access. It's only a low $10 Australian, and for that you'll get the full game at release and a decent chunk of the game now as it develops. But for those who don't want to drop any money and want to know what the heck this is, let's begin.
If the old path still holds.
What you'll immediately notice is the aesthetic. This is a mix of Elder Scrolls and Dungeons and Dragons, and very much feels, like I mentioned, a mix of Skyrim and Dark Messiah. You'll be in first person using melee weapons and spells to dispatch enemies. Everything you do has significant weight to it. You're a big guy, able to dismember and toss around most enemies. But because of this, you're not dashing around the battlefield. You can dodge, but you're not running around like a rogue. Swings take time to land. You have to time your attacks, your blocks, your dodges, your spells, and even your potions and bombs. Each hit does a significant amount of damage, and you can outright instant kill your enemies by knocking them off cliffs, into sharp objects like the conveniently placed around spike walls, into traps, into each other, and so on. This game frequently tries to overwhelm you, and you will die fast if you take damage. It's not an easy game, so you are encouraged to keep the pressure on or lead enemies away to their doom as you get the perfect angle on them, destroying the environment to your advantage or hitting them off cliffs like I mentioned. Time will slow down a bit as you finish an enemy, and you'll be treated to them most often than not losing a limb. But the sadistic fun doesn't stop there. You can keep hacking limbs off their bodies as they lay sprawled across the ground, or you can curb stomp them. But okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. I mentioned potions. Well, you'll be eagerly collecting flowers and materials as you explore the world. It's just as cathartic as Skyrim, which is hard to replicate. God knows many developers have tried, and it just ends up feeling like a chore. In this case, there are many different rarities of materials, and each can be put to good use in the Alchemy system, crafting different potions, poisons, and bombs from a mix of 3 materials. It can be the same material or different ones to achieve the desired effect. I use poisons to coat my weapon and deal significantly more damage. I also use potions to heal. However, using a potion mid-battle is risky because you don't instantly consume it like you do in Elder Scrolls. No. An animation needs to play, and while it does, you are vulnerable. Another potion I tried was to increase my fire damage, and of course, my spells started tearing through enemies. Potions are important because it doesn't seem like you can heal many ways in this game, at least mid-mission. You'll find campsites around, but they'll save your progress, not heal you. Leveling up seems to fully restore you, thankfully, as well as provide a point to invest in the skill tree, which reminds me a bit of Path of Exile with the passives and greater passives laid about in kind of a web. It's here we find a passive heal over time effect that you can invest into, and that makes it a lot easier. I particularly like getting the passive mana regeneration, as mana can only be restored with potions as well, and I could finally start using spells seriously with this passive regen. There are paths for different damage types. There's bleed effects, fire, wind, ice, and more. Even one for alchemy, boosting your effectiveness with potions, poisons, and bombs. Of course, as it's an RPG, items are also a thing. I tried multiple different weapon types and found different armors, rings, and more. Some weapons are slower but have knockback, some are quick and take very little stamina to use. It's fairly obvious which weapon types do this, but higher rarity weapons will have different effects as well. Now, you may be thinking, I can get behind all that, but what about the narrative story and other little things about the game? Well, forget about it. just put that out of your mind for now. It's too hard to tell in early access, but it seems like the story will be revealed as you progress through the levels in a very drip-feedy way. The voice actors aren't the best you'll ever hear, but they do a decent job.
This shape could never manage a full mug, but I would not refuse a sip of yours.
Keep your filthy snout out of my drink.
Ah, well, it is good to be home.
And you have a druid rat mentor on your body commenting on everything as you progress, and you'll find yourself very curious about him. The little things are creative too, like how passing through portals is so insanely painful that you really don't want to do it. The graphics are clean and the fantasy aesthetics hold up even through the many different environment types. There were frequent occasions I just sat back and admired the view. You know, it wasn't always just admiring my surgical precision. The subtle ambient music once again, and I'm sorry for continuing to compare, reminds me of Skyrim. It's a fantastical, curious and somber tone most of the time, except in battle. The sound effects are punchy and crunchy and remind me of a particular rice-based cereal slogan. Even though the little sounds like picking up materials tickle the dopamine out, there were a few ones that could use a bit of work. Overall, it's mostly well done. And throughout the early access, there wasn't many frame drops or many bugs, nary a crash to desktop to be seen. There may be a long way to release, we don't know, but the devs are happily taking feedback. For this price, less than a third of a movie ticket, I really am locked in for the ride. Now, it's not all sunshine and daisies, there are issues, like sometimes you may go way too long without a means to heal, and some bosses are just a bit silly. I won't spoil any of that here, but it's all stuff that no doubt will be fixed. It may mean though that some of you would rather wait until it's fully released. It's not going to be an easy game for most, as you'll need to time your attacks and use a bit of strategy at the worst of times. Also, since saving is tied to campsites, you might have to constantly tread paths already walked over and over again as you die and respawn far away from the problem area. I am confident this will be improved over time. So, should you give Fatekeeper a shot? If you liked any of the games I mentioned, yes, it's worth a look. If you don't like first-person RPGs though, or prefer more range-style combat, this might not be for you. Either way, hopefully this gave you a decent enough tease to make up your own mind. So let me know below what you're gonna do, and thank you so much for watching. Until next time, ciao friends.